Maybe. How are we doing? What does it say? 22. Looks alright. Let's have a look at this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, there I am. And messy bedroom. Okay, I'm not. Oh, it says I'm live already. Oh, okay. Sorry about the start. I went live before I realised it said go live. I clicked go live, and I actually just. I might have to edit this afterwards if it's a complete mess. Anyway, what I'm doing today is I'll need to title this afterwards because it's gone straight live. So I'll title it afterwards. But what I'm doing today is a series of book videos. So I'm just going to list books today, and then allow people to ask questions, and then I'll then I can take detailed questions on any particular book. So what I'll do is I'm just looking at there. So this is me on YouTube, and I might have to go out and get a tablet and just check that everything's coming through on YouTube okay. But at the moment everything looks alright. Average watch time 3 seconds. That's fair enough. Okay, so I'll make a start. So I've piled all the books. This is why I'm doing it from the bedroom, because the bed is about the only place I can get all these books. So this is number 1, and it's called Philosophy. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the Marxist philosophy books and work backwards to some of the other philosophy books. So let's start with the Marxist philosophy books first, and I'm going to get them. So, of these, we can start with Leon Trotsky's In Defense of Marxism. Okay, which was written towards the end of his life before he was murdered by a Stalinist agent, Raman Makeda. Right, anyway, so now I can't go into detail because I've got so many books to do, so we'll just leave that there and you can ask any questions about it. Right, so we'll start with that one, and then we have 3 books by Lenin, and these are from his collected works, number 1, number 14 and number 38. Now number 1 is also, I've got a little pamphlet that's got the main part in there, and the main book in volume 1 is What the Friends of the People Are and How They Fight the Social Democrats. Now this was written in 1895 when Lenin was just 25, and it was his first book that really made an impression. Right, so we're gonna, and then we got number 14. 14 is Materialism and Imperial Criticism, which was a polemic against people within the Bolshevik Party who were trying to revise Marxism on the basis of developments in science, but they weren't trying to enhance Marxism. They were actually taking the idealist philosophical views of scientists, and because Plekhanov wrote a work against them, and Lenin needed to do it from the Bolshevik point of view. Anyway, so I can't really go into detail, so that's volume 14, Materialism and Imperial Criticism. Now, volume 38 is Lenin's notebooks on philosophy, and was written mainly it was written during the First World War, when he restudied Hegel, which is the main part, and other philosophers, and that's the main part. And these were his notes. They're never intended for publication, but of course they are very useful and interesting, especially if you're reading Hegel, to see this from a materialist standpoint. So we'll come on to that later. So that's volume 38, and we've done that. Right, so next we have Marx's economic and philosophical manuscripts of 1844, and a lot of these are mainly very brief notes on Hegel and his works on Hegel and Feuerbach. And this is a Soviet publication, Problems of the History of Philosophy. That was a 1970s, 1980s book. Oh, it's upside down. I'll be that way. That one. And there's several of these. So we'll do some of those. Hang on a sec. I'll do some of those. Let me get to it. So, one of the best philosophers who died in 1979 from Soviet philosophy was Ivald Ilyenkov, and this is Leninist Dialectics and the Metaphysics of Positivism, and it's translated into English, obviously, because I couldn't read it otherwise. And that was actually done by New Park Publications, which is the WRP. So, and we have another one of his, which is the Dialectics of the Abstract and Concrete in Marx's Capital, which is that one. And one of the best one he's wrote is Dialectical Logic. Now I have that on as an ebook, but I lent out my original copy of the book. So let's go now. We've got so many to get through. That one, and that one. Okay, so at the moment we're just doing Soviet books that are available in English in the 1980s, early 1980s. The Planet of Reason, which is a ecological philosophical book from the early 1980s in English from the Soviet Union. We have Dialectics in Modern Physics, which it's 40 years ago since I read that one. So that was written I think in the 70s but translated early 1980s. We have The Integration of Science, which is another one written from a philosophical point of view. Now this is an old East German book translated in English, Philosophical Problems in Physical Science. Right, that's another one. They're all books I've read. The Making of Marxist Philosophy by T.I. Oiserman, that was another one available in the 1980s. Right, so I'm just going through them, and anyone can ask questions afterwards. I know a lot of people won't be watching this live, but it's just a convenient way to do it. So, that's that. Now, next. So we'll do some Marx Engels ones that cover philosophy now. We have Dialectics of Nature, which is a major work by Engels, you know, and he looks at, hang on, it's upside down. He looks at the scientific discoveries of his day and applies the dialectical method to analyse those. Now, let's do that. The Holy Family, which was an early work by Marx and Engels on philosophy. We have Anti-Düring, which is a polemic, philosophical polemical book by Engels, and then there's a Marx Engels selected works that's got several philosophical ones in here. But anyway, you just pick the book within the selected works. Now, so what else we got? Now this is a Lenin selected works, and the one I want to highlight in this is an article called "On the Significance of Militant Materialism" that was written in 1922, where Lenin called for the materialist friends of the Hegelian dialectic, and he said that scientists and, you know, who are not communists and communists could exchange ideas and everything else. So that's an important article, so I highlighted that in there from a philosophical viewpoint. Right. No, they're older ones. Okay. Oh yeah. There's Trotsky's Their Morals and Ours, which is more on the ethical side of philosophy. Anyway, moralists and sycophants against Marxism. Right, that's that one. Let's put that there. Oh, there's another Soviet 1980s book, Alternatives to Positivism, was written against the views of people like Karl Popper, etc. Right, that's that one. Marx and Engels, Volume 5 of the collected works contains the German ideology, which is was a fundamental inform in Marx and Engels' viewpoint in 1846. Right, that's that one. So now let's go. I have to rush through these because there's just not time to detail everything. So what should we do now? Okay, now we'll go from. We're going backwards now in history, if you like. So we go back from Marx to his predecessor, Hegel. So this is Hegel's Science of Logic, which is the most important of Hegel's works, written in 1816. So he was a contemporary of Beethoven. They were born almost the same time, I think. Anyway, so that's the period, and he was inspired by the French Revolution. Right, but it's dialectical idealism, not materialism. Marx had to correct that. And then there's the 3 books, Lectures on the History of Philosophy by Hegel. Now there's a huge amount of stuff on Greek philosophy in this one. So there's another 3. You can get a lot of these now in EPUB format, so you can read them on a tablet or Kindle or things like that. Well, that's one. No. Okay, so going backwards from now. Oh. So, again, any of the books you can ask questions about. So there's Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit, which is the first major work he wrote, and it's more psychological, you would say, about the human condition, etc. But it is dialectical. Right. Hegel's Philosophy of Right. No, I've never read that one, but you know, it was one I always intended to read, but never did. Philosophy of History is one of. Hang on. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Oh, I've got a bad connection. Hang on a sec. I'll probably have to do this on camera, and because it's not working live, is it? Okay, so I'm gonna finish here and see what the problem is. And it says viewers. Oh, viewers we'll continue to the end, and then I'll see what's going to happen. So that's the Philosophy of History by Hegel. Hegel's Philosophy of Mind. That is a different translation and not such a good one. Hegel's Little Logic, which was written later in life and is not as dialectical as Science of Logic. And now we go back from Hegel to Kant, and this is Kant's critique of pure reason. So, and one of the things I was doing in the early 90s was researching the differences between Kant and Hegel in their philosophies and how they thought. Right, now, so we're going back. I'm just going to carry on with this and then see how it comes out at the end and what I've got to do with it. Now the rest of these are a bit random, in a bit of a random order. So 20th century French philosophy, which is a fairly light read, you know, in terms of philosophy. Practical Ethics, Pete Singer, is another fairly light read. Now these are only ever looked at as reference. Aristotle Ethics, Aristotle Politics, Aristotle De Anima on the Soul, and Schopenhauer Essays and Aphorisms. They're all just dipped into books. And the same with this, Essentials of Indian Philosophy, and Hobbes. There's a book on Hobbes, and what else we got? So these are not in any particular order. Early Greek philosophy. Now I did read that in detail. So this is pre-Socratic philosophy. Last Days of Socrates by Plato. German idealist philosophy. Now that's from Kant, Fichte, or how do you pronounce it? Schelling, Hegel. Right, that's that one. Kant's Critique of Judgment. No, that's another one I've never got round to. Now, The Empiricists by R.D. Woolhouse was part of a series of books I was reading on British empiricism, and I did a little article on that in the early 1990s. Okay. And this is Locke, an essay concerning human understanding. That was for the same article, and I've read that a couple of times. Yeah, a long time ago. And Francis Bacon, The Advancement of Knowledge. And then I went right back, readings in medieval philosophy, to research how the individualism of philosophy became embedded in the English, particularly in the English and people of that descent outlook, just because you had to go back before the empiricists, right back to medieval philosophy and the struggles between the Platonists or Neoplatonists and the nominalists who were individualistic. Anyway, so I can't go into detail. That one. And oh yeah, and there's some other things when I was doing courses and things. No, Leibniz, hang on, here's Leibniz, that's a book on Leibniz, that's not one by him. There's one on Hegel, and there's two books by Wittgenstein when I was doing a philosophy course. Now I've got some others I missed. So this is a Spinoza Ethics, which is a philosophy book. It's not an ethics book, but it's called that. And I read that a long time ago in the 80s. And there's a little dictionary of philosophy. You can look stuff up. Here we are, we've got some more. There's Bishop Berkeley, treatise, the subjective idealist, opponent of of course he was along many years before Marxism existed, but people kept going back to his philosophy in order to attack Marxism, basically. Aristotle, there's a book on Aristotle. There's a book on Berkeley. There's a book on Karl Popper. There's Descartes, Discourse on Method and the Meditations. It's a very long time since I read that. Plato, Protagoras and Meno. Oh, David Hume, a treatise on human nature. I used to read that on the train from Norwich to London because we had to go every day. That's a long time ago. And Plato, Early Socratic Dialogues. And we've still got a few here somewhere lying about. Oh yeah, we got Leibniz, Philosophical Writings. Modern Philosophy of Mind, that's another one I just dipped into, read some of them, not all of them. And Renaissance Philosophy. Okay, that's just a kind of flavour really. And we got, what's that one? Yeah, I think that'll do for now because there's problems with this broadcast, so I've got to stop and find out what they are and whether I need to do this again on camera. Anyway, we'll see. So I just thought I'd do this as a live broadcast because it's convenient, and I can just pile all the books on the bed, and then people can, put questions and they can ask about a particular book, and then I can, reply either via YouTube or, or by writing or something. Anyway, I'm going to finish for now, so I'm going to end the stream. It's been 25 minutes, so let's go, and I've got to see what it's like.